So I'm going to disrupt a lot of people's idea of where we come from. Most people think that we come from a creation that has only happened in the last 6,000 years or a few 100,000 years. Some people even go as far as to say that we are the seeding of aliens who came down because the Sumerian story says that the Anunnaki experimented with man's genome and created the first man. I do not believe that any of these things are true. I cannot tell you how we first came upon this planet, other than the understanding of the Ogdoad and the Demiurge. For all other accounts, based on natural history, based on relics that we are able to find that are not corrupted by the ideas of stories of man, this is not man's first rodeo on the planet, even if it was a different type of man prior to. What we have in evidence is we can start with the different pyramids. The pyramids of Giza, the Sphinx, are all older than what we give them credit for. The water weathering would show that these things have been on the planet longer than the time frame of Khufu. That they were on the planet when the Sahara Desert was green. The Sahara Desert goes through this process every 13 to 26,000 years, where it goes from green to desert and then back to green again. This is a natural cycle of the earth. Therefore, these things were created and built long before the people of Kush came into Egypt, and these are the Kemeks, the Egyptians that we call today. That when they came to the pyramids, they were already there, but they did not understand how to use the pyramids nor what they were for. They had already stopped functioning in the way that Tesla has proved that they were functioning in an ancient time. They were power plants. But by the time the Kushite people come along after the Younger Dryas period, they're not power plants anymore. We have also found stone bowls that were cut cut by a tool that no one in that time frame in the last 9,000 years have had the ability to do. We find that their technology did not continue to grow from whatever was used to be able to cut those stones. It could not have been from chisels or anything of the sort. And the etchings outside of these bowls are younger than the bowls themselves. They're crude etchings made by hammers and chisels. So these things were in existence beforehand, and the Kushite people merely found them after the Younger Dryas period. What is the Younger Dryas period? The Younger Dryas period is the last ice age that we have experienced on this planet. When the Younger Dryas ended about 9,000 years ago, the sea levels rose about 400 feet. This is where you get all your different flood stories from all around the world. When it rose, it destroyed many cultures. It destroyed many civilizations that were far advanced than what anybody else has today. They were much further advanced. They had abilities to do things that we could not do. This is why they were more advanced. But even those societies weren't advanced enough to survive this time frame, this Younger Dryas destruction of the planet that occurred over a few thousand years and ended abruptly. When this abrupt ending occurred, they lost their civilizations. Where did they go after that? As a full society, we do not know. Did they go off into space? Did they go to a different dimension to escape the calamity that was occurring on Earth? We don't know. Did some stay and go and restart human civilization? There's evidence of this. The Sumerians say that the Anunnaki, from earth to heaven they came, showed up and taught them agriculture, taught them farming. They just exploded into a higher technology than what they had before, into a higher community, into a more civilized community, a more grouped community than what they had before. The Aztecs, the Mayans, have a similar story of someone coming from the heavens. And if you've ever been out on a ship or on the coastline and you see a boat coming from the horizon, it looks as if it came from the heavens. So we can understand why they would say from heaven to earth they came. Many of the ancient stories, such as that in the Emerald Tablets, talks about how Thoth, or Tahuti, when he left Atlantis during its sinking, flew across the Sahara and landed and came to the land of Kim and started their civilization again. This is why there is an abrupt start of technology and agriculture for the people of Kim. There are many stories that are similar to this, that there was some cataclysmic event that ended humanity as they knew it around 12,000 to 9,000 years ago. This is why we are finding things at Göbekli Tepe that are more than 9,000 years. The pyramids are more than 9,000 years old. And because these colonies, these restarts happen, it has been a natural occurrence. So when they say who built the pyramids, it is not an alien who came and built the pyramids. It is not the people of Kush who built the pyramids. But there were a people prior to the Younger Dryas that built the pyramids. When the aquifers were up under the pyramids and the Nile River was 8 miles closer and butted up against the Great Pyramids, it provided for a situation to create free energy. This is what Tesla proved. But yet, because we could not make money off of it, he was not financially supported by J.P. Morgan and others. So his information was destroyed. His office ransacked. His reputation was marred by those very same people, because it was all about the money and not about the growth of humanity. We are cyclic as we live on this planet. The earth goes through phases. The earth goes through these phases where billions upon billions of people could have existed prior to our current existence. And those billions of people who existed have been reincarnated into who we are today. We did not leave. We did not go to another dimension. We did not travel space. It is more than likely that we reincarnate as billions of people who probably inhabited the planet prior to the Younger Dryas, died during the Younger Dryas, and died during the worldwide calamity about 9,000 years ago. We are still learning how to elevate our consciousness so that we can escape this matter plane of existence. It is merely us going through these different cycles of cataclysmic, restart, build up, cataclysm again. If a Younger Dryas period occurred right now, our current level of society would not survive it. We do not build from earthen mounds, so very few things that we have created will be able to survive over those time frames. They'd be buried or destroyed. This is why the deeper we dig, the more we find. And the more we find that there were civilizations that existed longer than the 12,000 year time frame. We find that down in South Africa, in the Absu, that there are human crawl civilizations that have existed for 100,000 years. There are stories in the Zulu, in the Greeks, about how the moon wasn't a part of our atmosphere. How the moon wasn't, not a part of our atmosphere, but how the moon was not circling the earth, that it came to be. But prior to it coming to be, the earth was watered by a mist. The earth was misty, much like the planet Venus. And that the earth was a tropic all over the earth. But once the moon came into play, it created tides. Those tides created difference within the seasons, created deserts, created hurricanes and other storms. It flooded many regions, which is another example of where we get our flood story from. That they tell of a time prior to the moon being there. And if you can imagine the moon coming into our rotations until have effect on the world, it would be a cataclysmic event that would restart human civilization all over the world, creating earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, massive storms, unlike anything that we've ever experienced. All of these are just stories. But within all the stories, there's a modicum of truth. And that is what we must look for in order to raise our consciousness, in order to know who we truly are and what our true goals of escaping this matter plane of existence is and how to do it. We have to dig deeper and not just accept what we've been conditioned to believe. Keep journeying. Keep